You ever been to the open air market on Vermont Street on the sidewalk?
No.
So there's a swap meet that's obviously in this school parking lot, and then just out on the sidewalk is people's stolen shit. I mean, you just drive by, those are all stolen handsaws.
Oh, wait, so somebody's setting up a secondary...
I mean, it's for like a block and a half.
And so it's all saws?
It's like there's one guy, it's all tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing an estate sale on tools.
Yeah, an estate sale.
On the sidewalk.
That's a pretty kind
You
word.
know what's crazy is you can like rob those people with the things they're selling.
Yes.
You can
Now give me all
I'd be like,
this
I'm
shit.
taking this. Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro. I'm taking this saw. I'm
Probably
taking this
happens-
hammer.
Yeah, probably happens all the time. No.
But this food one, though, it is very popular. And it's been popular for a couple years now. It gets super long lines. But then, to your point, right down the street, somebody sets up their own little mini stop shop. And at first, they were just doing the churros.
Yeah.
And then during the day, they stopped doing churros and started offering outdoor haircuts. And I thought I had never seen that before.
I never
A stylist in a tent,
Outdoor
and then went back to churros at night.
The outdoor haircut concept is insane.
That's
because
nuts.
you need shelter for a haircut because hair is going to be flying
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, like to comb it and whatnot.
That's
And then you
so-
got to put on your taco hat and start making burritos.
Look, I'm going to tell you
dude.
guys this. Not that I drive past it that much, but I've yet to see anyone sit down
for a
getting
haircut.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously somebody is.
Otherwise, they wouldn't keep doing it,
They
right?
wouldn't keep just showing up.
Well, something has happened. Something has shifted because for the longest time, it was just fruit.
Right.
And nobody bought the pineapples
Yeah.
and the watermelon. I don't know because I never bought it.
Oh, do you mean like the little fruits?
The little fruit stands,
where
yeah.
they put it in the cup?
Yeah.
So we finally one day did. Karen's like, let's get some fruit toss, dog.
Yeah.
And we went over there for like $3, dude.
Right.
You get this giant
Yeah.
fucking cup
Yeah.
of fruit. It's so good. I was like, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
Then it started. I wonder what that street corn's like. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, nah. Warm mayonnaise? Nah.
See, there's a stigma on mayonnaise.
Yeah.
It's so good, but you don't want to think about it.
Exactly.
It needs to be buried inside of a sandwich somewhere.
Yes.
The mayonnaise stigma.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good band name.
I
actually.
completely agree. Yeah, there's an album name right there.
But something shifted to
mayonnaise
where
stigma.
it used to be the fruit, and now it's just. I drove to the Improv from my place.
Okay.
It's about 8 miles. And I saw 5-6 taco tents.
Easy.
Because those things sell. People love it. It is good.
It's delicious, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is good.
It's just sketchy. You don't know what you're
Beyond.
getting. And you go back to complain about your health problem, and there's just nobody there. They're on Pico and La Brea now. But there's no we've moved sign.
So you
Yeah.
guys know one of the tricks to like why a lot of food is really delicious like that is because it's all the leftover stuff that's on the griddle that they keep cooking on
Yeah.
into, and it's so delicious. But it can't be
Right.
good, but it's so delicious.
There's no letter. There's no letter in the window because there's no window.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No inspector.
No,
What is my Karen always? I'm always like, oh, look at those hot dogs. She goes, where does he go to the bathroom and wash his hands? And I go, cool. And we just keep driving.
Right.
no, there's a good point too. Not that I trust anybody at a restaurant to actually wash their hands properly. Not that I trust anybody anywhere in this world to actually. The fact that in America there's signs that remind people, hey, they're going to throw this out here. We're going to go ahead and put a sign on the mirror that says, before you leave, why don't you think
You
about
should wash
washing
Since you
your
just
hands?
touched your dick.
So I've never had trust. I was ingrained with my dad. My dad was like really big into like, you better wash your hands before you leave the bathroom. And so I always have.
Same.
I always have too. Sometimes I like to get away with it when I don't actually touch my dick when I'm at home. Like if I don't touch my dick and I'm at home, I might not wash my hands.
I'm not going to
That's
dig
fair.
deep into what the moves are that get to this point, but that's understandable.
But most of the time, gotta wash the hands.
Hey.
Especially if you're about to eat.
Well, in
or
some
make
places,
someone else something.
Right.
Well, then there's other places you go and you go to the bathroom and you're like, you know what? My dick's cleaner than everything in this bathroom.
That's how I feel about it. especially in like the virgin years.
Yeah.
You know, when you're like a teenager, like, what's on it?
You're like, I already know this has gone nowhere. This has only been in my pants. That's what's on it. That's too good. For me, the taco stands, it's the cockroaches. Especially, they're out there.
Let's think about the exhaust coming off a car. People talking as they're walking by. Spit flying onto it.
So nasty.
Yeah. But then, let's counter-argue that. Every restaurant you go to is disgusting, too.
True.
We've all worked at places that had an A in the window. And the things that happen behind closed doors, even just selling popcorn at the movie theater.
Sure.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Aaron, we rolling?
Yep.
Welcome to the Full Charge Power Hour. You're joining us already in progress. I got my favorites here, Craig Coleman, Brian Irwin, and make sure you pledge on Patreon, patreon.com/The Full Charge, and make sure you're registered to vote. We're 50 days out as we're recording this, about 40 days out while you're hearing it, and I think you need about 30 days ahead of time to get registered. You don't want to show up and check on it. There's shady shit going on where people are just like unregistering you, and there's fake sites out there that say they're registering you. I think Elon Musk is tied up in some of this. It's craziness. It's craziness out there. It's terrifying. It's scary, but get out there and vote.
Are we still rocking the vote?
No, rock is over, so rocking the vote is over.
Yeah, I don't think they rock the vote anymore.
We're synthesizing the vote at this point. It's in the keyboards.
Synthwave the vote.
Yeah, right. It's been a big week for Gen X. We got Dave Grohl had a kid out of wedlock, which he just had to report. He had to tell on himself. He had to Me Too himself.
Right.
You know?
My kid was upset about it.
And,
Not upset, but
it's Dave Grohl is kind of the patron saint of rock and roll.
that's what I said. Yeah.
He's like, you can't hold anything against him.
right.
Not that, like, I mean, I don't think it's cool what he did to his family.
Sure.
Morally speaking, this shit does happen. It's
Right.
happened before.
Right.
It's not the craziest thing that ever happened. But you want Dave Grohl to be perfect because he
do.
has been perfect
He
up
has.
until this point.
He has.
We need a drummer. Who are we going to call? Dave Grohl. He instantly ups the level of your bands.
He did.
Even Nirvana, as great as a songwriter, as great as
Yeah.
a performer, as Kurt Cobain was, with Dave Grohl in the band,
Yeah.
who knows without Dave Grohl?
Yeah, no, it would have been the Bleach album.
Could have been.
Which wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad, but it didn't hit.
No.
Literally didn't hit as hard as Nevermind.
That first Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh.
Or the second album, I mean.
Yeah.
Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah. There was one time I turned on Saturday Night Live and Tom Petty's playing, and then it's like, is that's Dave Grohl? There's no mistake in it.
He was
It's like
yeah.
It's like a caveman.
America's drummer.
Yes.
But that's his second marriage. I didn't realize this was his second marriage. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, well, what do you expect out of a second marriage guy? No offense, Brian. I know you're on like
Two
or three.
No, just two.
Okay,
Just two.
Brian's second is the solid one though. I think the second one actually
sure
is the solid one for
Yeah.
guys that do it.
Yeah, no, his first one, it was kind of like a small town
Yeah, and it barely
high school, let's just get married thing.
It barely existed, and we don't talk about it around the house because when the kids
Of course
were
not.
the kids were young, they got confused and thought they had two moms, and
Oh.
it was just like there was nothing to talk about here.
You'd be like my uncle, like, look, I have 8 other children that nobody knows about.
Like a retro stepmom.
Yeah.
Well, we're not sharing any kids, right? So it's like there's nothing to talk about. It's like almost like saying, you know, you guys are married. It's like tell your kids all about all your ex-girlfriends. It's not relevant. Like it doesn't.
Yes.
We don't have that kind of time, Brian.
Yeah, but
Right.
when
There
that,
he is.
Boom.
when
There
that
he
shit
is.
comes up at 15, you're like, your dad was married before. Oh, that's a big shock. It happened to me.
Oh, it happened to you?
Yeah. My dad was married very briefly before.
Now, so you probably had I'm assuming a lot of questions, or you didn't care? Or you just
I had a lot of questions because I was not told, and they were like, "Didn't you know?"
didn't you know
Didn't you
about
know?
that thing we never told you about?
I feel like that's how it is about Santa Claus too. It's like, come on, didn't you know? It's like, no, I believe everything you tell me.
You're like, I'm pretty much was born a moron.
My dad did that to me. I love my dad, but he was like, hey,
What, you
he
didn't
goes,
know?
he goes,
That's great.
like I was like far too. I'm glad he told me, but the way he told me was kind of weird. Like I must have been like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years too old.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, you don't still believe in Santa. Like I was in bed and he was like tucking me in for the night, which I was probably too old for that too.
That's great, dude.
And he goes, hey, you don't believe in Santa Claus still, do you? And I'm like, I totally did. And I was like, no. And he goes, I mean, come on. A guy flying around the world
That's too good.
all in the same minute, all at midnight. And I was like, yeah, I guess it doesn't really add up.
That's pretty
And all those gifts that we don't want to keep getting you.
So usually I can't sleep on Christmas Eve. That night I just couldn't sleep on regular old like November 18th.
Oh my God.
I was like, what else isn't true?
What else is a lie?
A lot.
Wait till you
There's
hear
a
about
lot.
church.
Yeah.
That I had to figure out on my own.
Look, I'm not going to tell you about Jesus. What about Jesus?
And then my dad, and then like when I was getting married in the church and I was all upset about it, he called me up and he was like, I go to church to clear my head. He goes, I don't believe in 90% of it. It's like, dude, hook a kid up. Tell somebody.
Oh, that's great. You know,
Just let me know. I only need to know 10% of this.
Did they drag you to church? Were you dragged?
Went to church every Sunday. I even played guitar in the church folk.
Hell
folk
yeah,
singing
you
band.
engaged.
I engaged. I was I'm totally in on. That's why I'm kind of resentful about like religion and now even American government. Like, oh, I believed in all this shit, and then you just find out maybe it's true.
Maybe it's true.
Wait, you
Well,
played guitar in the government band too?
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Rage for the Machine,
Yeah.
otherwise known as Kid Rock.
Oh, that's great, dude. That's great.
Did you get dragged to church?
No.
Okay.
No, my dad is he's not an atheist, he's agnostic.
Okay.
Cuz during the Vietnam War, he went to Thailand cuz they said, "Where do you want to go?" He goes, "The front line." They're like, "Crazy, fuck that." Send him to Thailand.
That's so good.
Right?
Like you're either gonna be like, I'm gay, or,
Yeah.
or I want to kill people.
Yeah. He's just like, send me to the front line, and they were just like, "You fucking nuts."
But he told the right people that. There are
Exactly.
certain
They would-
recruiting
Oh,
officers
yeah.
that would be like, we got ourselves a general.
They're like, "Sweet. Look who's going to die in the jungle." This fucking idiot. No, so he went to Thailand, and so I was always like, "Oh, so you didn't even like shoot anybody?" He goes, "No, dude." He goes, "I smoked a lot of hash and opium, and yeah, I hung out."
And I think they were women.
So he's a Buddhist. He's more like a Buddhist style.
Okay.
So when my mom became a born again Christian, and she'd be like trying to drag him to church.
Yeah.
He's just like, he goes, "Let me ask you a question." He goes, "So you got this Buddhist monk who sits on a rock for like 25 years, doesn't hurt a fly, peaceful as hell, feeds the poor. Is that guy going to hell because he never read about Jesus?" And she goes, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "Bullshit." And that's it. That's where he
the whole
stands. He's all,
conversation?
"That's absolute bullshit." He goes, "Fuck that. You're telling me these Native American dudes who've been around longer than all that crap, they're all going to hell?" And she goes, "Yes." He goes, "Sounds like hell's going to be fun."
Well, that is what's so funny about Christianity. It's like you could be this Buddhist guy who literally doesn't kill a fly.
Right.
Will not do it.
Right.
Then Christianity is you can fuck up all you want, prodigal
Right.
son style.
Right.
And then be like, I'm sorry, Jesus.
Yeah. Boom.
Please forgive me. Say 10 Hail Marys, 3 Our Fathers.
We're good.
You're in. You're in.
Right.
You're in the club. It's an amazing religion.
It is.
And that's why it's so popular.
I get it.
But then Christians are always so scared of going to hell. That's the funny part.
That's the other part.
He's an all-loving God who will send you to hell for eternity,
send you
for
straight-
torture.
yes.
They're going to gouge your eyes out down there.
Forever.
But then as long as you apologize before you go to bed or like every night, you're good.
Right.
So I don't understand this whole fear of hell. And that was not the point in the first place either.
Right.
Religion is supposed to be comforting. It makes people crazy.
No.
And fearful a lot of times.
Yeah, that's the worst part. It's like living in fear.
Yeah.
And a fear of everything.
Right.
You see it now more than ever, right? It's just like, dude, calm down.
Chill out.
It's not. Life is messed up. There's nothing pretty. I tell my kids all the time. I don't know if you talk to your daughter about this at all, but I always tell them, like, look, man, enjoy being a kid because it's a mess out there. You'll figure it out. It'll be fine. You can find a way to enjoy it, but it is a mess out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really hard not to be with your kids and just look at them and be like, yeah, so the world is fucked. You know that, right?
But it's always been like that, though.
Always.
This
But
whole
it
thing
is.
about like, oh, it's right now is the worst. Slow down.
I don't think it's the worst. I think we're very aware
Yeah.
We're just more
of
aware.
how bad. And like these just like 3 news stories a day that are like, what?
Yeah,
This is happening where?
Yeah.
In Florida? It's always in Florida.
it is.
But as I told you, ignorance is bliss. Sometimes just you got to tune that stuff out, man. It's like,
Well, you do. You do have to tune it out.
because what are you going to do about it? That's the other thing, too. When you do that, what? I can't believe that. And it's just like, what are you going to, okay, now you know. What are you going to do about it?
Well, that's what's good about religion. You give up control. That's like part of it. You
Right.
give up trying to control it all. Somehow when you're on Twitter, you feel like if I just do the right tweet, I can change all of this.
Yeah.
But you can't. It doesn't matter how funny it is, doesn't matter how smart it is, doesn't matter what newspaper article you attach to it. It's just out of your control.
seriously,
All you can do is control.
By
I'm
the way,
just
you,
worried
you,
about me
Yeah.
and mine.
you brought up the thing, and it's not just you, and I don't think it's like a old man doesn't want to change thing. I find it hilarious that people, for the most part, still refer to X as Twitter and like don't even care.
So great.
And it's just, and you know, it bothers some people a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's just the rebranding is just not flying. Some people are like, nope. I call it Twitter all the time. I
Yeah.
don't care.
You know what's great? Simplified. The richest man in the world. I heard he was the richest man in the world. Still can't get you to change the words that you say. No matter what he does, you can't do it. And I love every time I say Twitter, it feels so good. I
Right.
feel like I am Rage Against the Machine. Nah, dog. Twitter. Check me on Twitter.
Bulls on parade.
Yeah. I mean, what if like fucking Jeff Bezos was like, Instagram's called Snapshot now? You'd be like, sorry, dude. But that's how absurd it is. It's
Right.
like, why even change it?
Yeah.
Right.
And X is not a fucking solution. That's
not.
not a name.
It's not a good one.
Yeah.
Twitter was just fine.
But I mean, you guys may already talked about this, but one of my favorite things ever since social media spiraled out of control into a world of anger and hate is all the people that are just waking up to realize what Rage Against the Machine stood for, and they are just so bummed out by the fact that they thought it only represented just hate and anger, and so they then they found out what the message was behind it, which is the exact opposite of what they stood for,
Well-
and now they like I watch people attack Tom Morello all the time online.
Stay out of politics, dude. He's like, what the fuck do you think this band is?
It's the whole point.
It's like-
Always.
They sound awesome, but I honestly don't know if they would be popular without the spirit and the lyrics.
for sure.
You know, that's a big part of it.
Yeah,
And it was an
absolutely.
obvious part of it. And it only goes
I
to show
mean-
you what are you seeing
Right.
when you walk down the street? What else are you missing?
Right. There's this great, I forget his name, this is punk rock guy, and he was talking about like back in the day, the Sex Pistols and the Clash. He's like, oh, I loved punk rock. He goes, but I didn't know what the fucking garbage strikes were about in England. He goes, so I was more like, oh, Black Flag. Yeah, this. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. He's like, I'm all about this shit.
I
you
watch
know?
TV. I watch
Yeah.
Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I'm
Isn't there a whole
mad.
song about
Yeah.
TV?
Yeah, there is.
Drinking beer.
TV party tonight. So he's just all about, I'm about kicking in the fucking windows and getting pissed off at some local shit.
Sex Pistols was still like whoa for me though. With the
Oh, for
as a
sure.
Catholic kid, I am the Antichrist.
Oh.
That was like holy shit, dude.
Right.
The guy's saying it. I felt a little something like, damn, good thing this music sounds good. Because I don't know if I'd be into it otherwise.
See, I didn't know anything about that. So, like, I didn't even know, like, my friends who were Jewish or Catholic. I didn't even know they were that until I
Yeah.
was, like, in my 20s.
But why? That's the thing is like, did you really need to know all that stuff?
No.
Not really.
I mean, I think we've covered this before, but I don't talk to anybody from high school anymore because after the last decade, all those people that you got along with in high school got older and had opinions you apparently either didn't know about or they had them.
Yeah.
And everybody just started going at each other's throats. You're like, well, there's a reason why people stopped talking to each other after high school.
Oh, yeah, and I got friends on there. I'm like, dude, we used to do meth and fucking blast Slayer for hours, dude, till the sun came back up. And you're fucking, what, born again now all of a sudden?
You remember when Facebook first started to get popular and Facebook was like seeking me out. Like people from my high school were seeking me out
Right.
on MySpace. Like, yo, you got to get on Facebook. There's a high school reunion going on over here.
Right.
You got to get into it. And that's like everybody friended up. It was mostly a high school thing in a way.
It took over classmates.com.
Oh, killed it. They're the Skype of social media. I'm like, what happened? Side note, that'll always be on my mind that like Skype was doing it for like, I don't know, 10 years before
Till
the
Zoom.
pandemic. And it seemed like Zoom came out like the week before the
Yeah,
pandemic and just
right?
completely was like, thanks, we'll take it from here, Skype. And Skype's like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking, this was our moment.
They're like, great idea. We've made some changes.
We have this button now.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing.
Right, dude?
It's the same exact thing.
I was always surprised that Skype didn't try to sue them or something.
I mean, it's just MySpace being the same version as Friendster. There's
fair.
nothing you can do. You know?
That's fair.
Just a few adjustments, and it's no longer somebody's intellectual property.
I remember when Facebook first came out, we had moved. My dad died, and we moved to Washington State, and the company I worked for in California went under, and so they sent you a thing like you can go to this resume building thing to help you find
Yeah, like
your next-
LinkedIn or something.
Yeah, but it's like you actually had to physically go to this office.
Oh, you had to go to the office.
Yeah, physically sit down and at a meeting thing. And I'm in there and I'm like, I'm a file clerk. All these people have educations. You know, this guy's in IT, and I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I'm trying to like be a McDonald's manager, I think. That's my next move. And like one of the guys, the IT guy, he goes, he just starts talking to everybody. No, it's called Facebook. And they're real people. He goes, I'm friends with Brad Pitt. And they're like, what? He goes, the real Brad Pitt. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
You're like, I need a job. This guy's starstruck.
Yeah. And we were back to dial-up at my dad's because he lived out in the country.
Oh, that's great.
Dude, I hadn't heard that sound in a long time. And I hit it, and it just starts doing the... My wife goes, no. What? I go, yeah, dude.
Do you want to play a game?
How
Yeah.
long were you out there in the wilderness?
My God, dude. It seems like it was at least 2 years.
Yeah.
But I think it was like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
Time slowed down for you.
Dude. I mean,
This is what people dream of. They dream of getting away from it all.
you do.
Yeah.
And even I was just like, at that time, yeah, it'd be nice to get out of North Hollywood, be in the country. And we were there. And I was just like, I can't wait to see a linebacker wearing a skirt, just a transvestite that's obviously not even working that hard at it. I go, this sucks.
Yeah.
Out in the country, I mean, we were not welcome
Right.
because we're from California.
They just knew it
Oh, yeah, it's your
on
license
the license plate.
And you're different.
It's so. Well, yeah, you don't realize how
different.
different you are.
I think I told you I would wear like just a button-up shirt, like I
Yeah.
wear on stage. There's just button-up shirts. Wasn't a fancy shirt. It wasn't. I wasn't wearing a suit and tie. Literally just a shirt with buttons. And I would come up, my hat, nice hat. Karen's just wearing nice clothes, and they would just be like, "Wow, where are you guys going
Yeah.
today?"
Yeah.
And we're like, they're clothes. They're just clothes. And they would lose their shit. I remember the girl at the Walmart saw my ID and she goes, "Wow, did you wear this to prom?" I'm like, "What?" Well, let me see that. It was an old 70s jacket, the one I used to wear on stage.
Yeah, the Dr. Zayas, dude.
And again, a button-up shirt. I was
Right.
just like, get the fuck out of here with that.
I remember I drove cross country with a friend of mine in 1994, 1995. I turned 21 on the trip. And, you know, we didn't think we were weird.
Right.
You know, alternative music was popular. Grunge rock was popular. All this stuff. We lived on the East Coast. Maryland, it's not New York City. Baltimore, it's not New York City.
Right.
We stopped in Wyoming at a restaurant. And my friend, you know, he's half black with dreadlocks.
Oh,
And I'm just like, if you saw what I look like, it wouldn't look that weird today. But in '95 in Wyoming, just like the crew cut with like the skater and the Dickies
yeah.
and
yeah.
everything, and we just looked. You could just feel the eyeballs on you.
Oh, for sure.
Not only because the way we looked, they probably knew everybody in town.
It's that part.
Yep.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part.
I'm like looking for the only vegetarian thing on the menu.
That's what
I found it.
That's what gave you away.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, look, there's a black guy and a gay guy over here wanting a salad.
Dude, I used to tour manage a band about that same time, and we were way somewhere in the middle of Alabama, and one of our tires blew out on our van, and we had two vans, so I had to take the other van with the crew was in, and for whatever reason, the bass player, who looked way bit more bizarre than anybody else in the band, he had green hair and like a long purple like chin beard.
Oh.
And he's like, I'll come with. And I'm like, okay. So we drive into the first small town, and I'm watching. No one's looking at me. I was pretty normal looking from Wisconsin.
Right.
Everybody's eyeballing him, and I'm like, as soon as you see a tire store, just make sure we have the code. You stay in the car. I'm gonna get this, and we're getting the fuck out of here because there isn't a single eyeball that is saying, come on, guys, come on over. Let's hang out. They were like, if you stay more than 5 minutes, you're both dead. And I was like, I had never, there are parts of America, dude, that I will never go back to again. Like, you are not welcome. They are just so detached from society.
Yeah.
And you don't think they would see that in America, but it exists.
Oh, for sure.
And they're okay with it.
You're right. You just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, you're smack dab in the middle of it. And it's pretty strange.
Yeah.
It is.
I think it's cool in its own weird way.
It is.
But I couldn't imagine living like that. I mean, because you're just so detached from the world.
I grew up in an area that was almost like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was on the East Coast. So anytime there's water, and it's like it was a little bit more populated than something, you know, we're just talking about. And there was a Navy base there. So there were people coming in and out from all over the country, probably all over the world. But you still caught the vibe. And like we were skateboarders, and we went through the worst fashion streak I ever went through. And my heart wasn't in it. I don't know if you've ever gone through a fashion phase where you weren't really sure about it.
Sure.
But you knew you were like, there was a phase in like 1992. I'd always been a skateboarder. It was my whole identity. And skateboarders went through a big pants
Those big
phase
pants.
where you wear these huge, ridiculous pants.
Yes.
And even I thought they were crazy. And it was kind of my first year of college too. So I'm just hanging on to this identity.
Right.
But I have no skateboarder friends in the first college I went to in Western Maryland. So I'm wearing these big pants, and I had Thrasher magazine delivered to my mailbox
That's
in
awesome.
college, and I would get, and it was by the cafeteria, so I'd go with my civilian friends to the dining hall, and we'd stop off at the post office box, and I'd get my Thrasher magazine, and they would laugh their asses off at me for being a skateboarder. And like the insult, if I said something stupid or insulting, they'd be like, "Why don't you go skate, asshole?" But I just remember being like,
that's a burn.
yeah, it was a burn. Like this was like in a dead period of skateboarding.
You're like, I can't wait to.
Like I was 18 years old, and they thought I was far too old to be skateboarding. And I was good too, and like they knew it too. But they were just like, this is a useless skill. Meanwhile, all they did was skip class and drink beer.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
I got good grades and I could ollie down 12 stairs.
Boom.
You know. But I just remember being at this gas station over the summer at night with these big pants and like this ridiculous knit cap on in the summertime. And the gas station attendant, she was outnumbered. Like she's just in the little box.
Right.
She's outnumbered. So she's not trying to have a look on her face, but she's just got this look on her face like, what is this? Like, what is this clown show that's happening at my place of business right
By the
now?
way,
I've never
it's
seen
all
people
back.
like
That
this.
look is 100%
know.
back. It's been
Is
back
it?
for a while. Oh, yeah.
The
And
big pants?
And 50 times more expensive now, too. What they're paying to look like Matt from 92.
And I feel weird and old now because I kind of, so when I went back to skinnier jeans, I'll call them skinnier jeans.
Not the super tight.
They just felt skinny because I used to wear these big pants.
that were off. Yeah.
And then I finally came around to like skinnier pants because those were cool. It's like we always talk about. It's like, oh no, it's new to wear skinny pants now, but not really. That was like 2001
Right.
through 2005 where it was cool to wear skinny pants, skinny jeans. So now I feel weird in a different way wearing like pants that fit, walking around,
Yes.
not just kids, but like people who were in style wearing these big pants. I was at the Improv walking down Melrose on Saturday night, a little intimidated by like these 17-year-old boys wearing these huge pants just because they were just like barely talking out of my earshot and laughing, and I knew they were laughing at me. Maybe they weren't, but you feel like they are.
Yeah. You have no
Yeah.
choice but to feel like
Yeah.
you're the target, right?
Mhm, yeah.
Then I've come to realize you're like actually a ghost
Yeah.
to most young people.
Totally.
Unless you turn to them and be like, hey, stop going out on
Yeah.
the street with your cameras and stopping traffic.
Yeah.
You engage,
Then,
now you are the target.
yeah, now it's on.
But when you're going to a comedy show, you kind of already in this mindset where like, I want to be liked by everyone. And I don't want to alienate
Oh, please
anyone.
tell me you didn't stop and try to talk to him
And
and
I
tell him
want
about your
to
past.
skew 44, 45 years old, not the 50 that I'm dragging around.
If I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just keep your mouth shut, and you know they're somehow cooler than you.
Right.
It doesn't seem like they are,
Yeah.
but they just got youth on their side.
That's it. That's
know?
literally all they have.
Yeah, my kid, obviously all her friends they're all cool, young, cool kids. But then they find out that me and Karen, No Corn, used to hang out with My Chemical Romance.
Right.
'Cause she'll be like, see right here in the liner notes, Craig and Karen Coleman. That's my mom and dad. And they're like, get the fuck. What? And I'm all, yeah, 100 pounds ago. Really cool. Really fucking cool. Still did coke. Randomly would do coke.
They're also like, albums used to have liner notes.
Yeah.
They used to thank people.
Exactly. They used to thank people.
Yeah, how do you get thanked anymore in this digital era, man? You're screwed.
You don't get thanked, you get tagged, if you're lucky.
There it
Hey,
is.
but is that even worth it? I mean, how do you show people like
It's not the
you're
same thing.
no, it's not.
What Craig is experiencing is the last.
Yeah.
The last vestige
of
of
it.
that. You
Yeah.
bet. You bet.
What I started freaking out about seeing those kids with the big pants was, okay, that was cool 30 years ago, and it's back again. And I'm looking at it going, oh yeah, 1992.
Right.
And then I'm walking down the street and I see like this busted dude walking down the street and I go, oh yeah, 1998. And what I'm wondering is, when people saw us doing like the grunge rock thing,
Sure.
were they like, oh yeah, 1967?
Sure.
Because to me, the technology of it all obscured that. In other words, when I saw a photo from 1967, it looks like a photo from 1967.
Right.
But the technology is advanced to the point where, like, if you saw a picture from 1992 on film and a good digital picture from, 2024, and people are wearing the same shit, it kind of looks like very similar. But what
Right.
I'm starting to wonder is how far back does this go to where we're just repeating fashions? Or is it that now that we're in the internet age, everything is relevant because everything is constantly reposted? Discuss.
Yeah, no, I think you're not wrong. And they say that genres and everything, it just repeats itself. It's not necessarily history, but
Yeah.
even fashion and the look
Right.
or whatever, or you just take a piece of it.
Yeah, as I say, the
They
80s
take
and
pieces
90s
of it.
are, there's no specifics to those looks.
Yeah.
Right? Like the 80s is a perfect example. Like ska dudes were definitely stealing from the 60s. So they had a little bit of that element,
Sure.
right? But then they added all this like all these bizarre colors and like big
Right.
shoulders, like you know what I mean? Like everything was big, you know, a little bit of that.
Oh, the 80s look?
Talk, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 550 jeans, roll them up in the bottom, baggy on top, skinny down on the bottom. You know, it's
So
just
they've taken the fluorescent colors.
yeah,
Or those fucking those jackets like the
parachute
those
pants and
wind
zipper
yes,
jackets. And,
yes.
and
and windbreaker jackets.
yeah, modern,
and
not
stuff.
modern. You know what you're talking about. Members only.
Yes.
Right.
And so they'll just take those elements of it.
Yeah.
And they'll just they'll incorporate it into what else is going on.
The weird part is when you realize that punk rock, not the Sex Pistols, they're a different beast,
Sure.
but like the Ramones were like a retro thing. They were trying to sound like
Right.
the 50s.
Yeah.
But
You
their look
didn't
was
know
also
that.
biker guys.
They wanted to
look,
sound
right?
like the Shondells.
Right. So you didn't know that. You thought
I
it was like
didn't.
this new
Yes.
new thing, revolutionary. And it was, but it was an answer to
Right.
the evolution of rock.
I started listening to the Shondells recently
Uh-huh.
because I was like, oh wait, who?
It's like the Ramones, but they can sing.
And then I started,
That's a
yeah,
joke,
and
Joey. I love your singing.
I went down a rabbit hole because then it gives you all this other like just '60s garage bands, and I'm like, oh,
And they're
I'm
endless.
all here. It is right here.
And they're endless.
They're fucking
There's like
endless.
8 billion of those bands.
There is.
If you listen to Little Steven's Garage on Sirius XM,
Oh,
you're
okay.
like, holy shit.
A million of those bands.
Like they all sound like the Strokes, and they sound
Yes.
like,
Yes.
but they sound like the Ramones. It's all the same
Yes.
thing. It's crazy.
One of the greatest discoveries was finding out that California had all these garage bands in the 60s that you go, holy shit. They literally could have been putting albums out in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
You know what
Yeah.
else is crazy? I realized there's a name for, like, how I used to dress in 2005, which is like I tried to dress like the Strokes and all those bands.
Oh.
It's called indie sleaze now, and I love that name.
That
I
is
really
great.
do.
It's like, yeah, there you go.
And
then-
people, so that's also so the big pants are happening, and then this other movement where like everybody wants to look like that again
right?
too.
In '90s, it was heroin chic.
Yes,
Yeah, what was that one again?
It's
that was
I
the
know
same,
the
that's
name,
indie
but-
sleaze.
Okay.
It's like
It's
I'm
the same thing.
skinny.
Yeah.
I might have a bit of a mullet.
Okay.
You know-
I look sick and tired,
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
eat.
Yeah.
but I'm actually on heroin.
Right.
Yeah.
But people even did it who weren't on drugs.
Yeah. Right.
Like British rock bands.
Right. Like
Like the Verve.
the Verve. I was
Yeah,
just gonna say the Verve.
There we go. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is all on topic today. Aaron, can we pull up the first clip I sent you? One of our favorite bands. I know Craig loves this band. Jane's Addiction
Oh.
Man,
are back together. Well, they were back
Briefly.
together.
they got the whole band finally back.
Yeah, they finally get the
together.
bass player back. They could never get him. And then when they
Right.
got him, Dave Navarro got sick
That's-
or something,
yeah.
and then he couldn't go on tour because
Right.
he had long COVID. And then now this. It's such a shame. And it is crazy. Like Perry Farrell is, I think, 60 or in his 60s.
Yeah.
So that's a weird. I mean, he's Perry Farrell. He's always cool.
Right.
But it's weird. They were like the real deal. They lived it. They lived this
Without a
Venice
doubt.
Beach. You want to talk about heroin chic?
I mean-
it was heroin non-chic.
It
was dirty.
He's heroin chic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is heartbreaking, but listen, we're trying to fill an hour here.
Eric Avery.
He gives him a little fight.
Yeah,
he
he
gives him a
fucking
punch.
punched him in the gut.
Yeah. Which the guy that's not in the band that comes out is
Right.
like really risking his job. You got to salute him.
Yeah. Like I wonder.
Well, he probably knows it's over anyway.
yeah.
At that moment. So there's been multiple theories as to what happened. What do you guys think happened?
Well, I'll just give you this anecdote. If you watch the Stop video, this is nothing new for these guys. Now they've matured and they've gotten cool together, but there's actually a shot in the video that they left in on purpose, where Perry Farrell is fucking with Dave Navarro while he's trying to play, and Dave Navarro like really goes to try to kick him, and he like, and it looks really real. Might be something they've done before, but it looks real. And at least the first time they did it, it was real, and then they made it part of their stage act maybe. But they've never liked each other. They've come together to realize, and it's how it is with lifelong friends. You get mad at them. You realize they're your brothers, you get back together, but then the same shit starts to eat at you.
And that time of the band, that's when they were like second album or third album, and they're like, yeah, we're done. After this tour, we're done.
It exploded on Impact, that album. They were like, we're pretty much done. That's how Lollapalooza got started. Great documentary on Paramount Plus about the whole thing of Lollapalooza. But it starts as like, we're going to do our final tour.
Right.
Guess what? We're gonna make it an incredible event.
Yeah, like Perry got off heroin, left his girlfriend, Casey, classic girl,
who came to see our show.
In
Bakersfield.
Yeah. I mean,
thank you, Craig Coleman.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first moved to LA, we met Casey. And then, this is my friend Jane, and I'm all, fucking Jane. Jane's Addiction, Jane, the real Jane. Jane says, like,
I've heard about her. She has just like a regular
totally
life
regular
now.
person, dude.
And she was kind of like a privileged person, I think, who like went to LA and just kind of like went through a phase.
Yeah.
And now she's back to like regular life.
Just
and like
total,
she knows that the band is named after her.
Right.
She knows that song is about her.
Right.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Yep.
And then when you meet her, you're like, oh, she's just some LA lady. Same with Casey, but made the videos, is on the album covers, right?
She's an artist.
She's a total artist. And they've tried to erase her.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So recently Casey's come out, and there's links to different articles about her telling her side of the story, or what she's allowed to say, because she, of course, had to sign a paper when he sent the fucking manager to kick her out of his life. Give her $100,000 and like bye.
Yeah.
And now he tries to act like, oh, she's just a muse. She was just this. Like, she didn't matter.
Right.
Fuck that. Casey Nicolai, go look her up. She's a fantastic artist.
Well, she did both the album covers, right?
Yeah, she did
the big
both,
ones.
Yeah, she did
Nothing
both
shocking.
the albums. She made the movie The Gift.
She's
with
a big
him.
part of that.
Big part of it. She's in it.
Yeah.
She directed the video.
Stop.
The stealing one.
Yeah, been caught stealing. Oh, that's really unique video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's her. So Perry's a dick.
Just a long way to get to say he's a dick.
Yeah, the long way around is that he's a dick.
So he's not a hook. They said that he was all drugged up in that.
Sounds like he's drinking again, and he's probably slipped back into heroin.
But you're just saying that just heightens the fact that he's not a very kind person.
He's not.
I think, you could say that, which is true, but he's also one of these guys that lives in his own world. And when...
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's upset that Dave Navarro is not giving him enough of a moment right then, because he's trying to make it about the vocals.
Right.
Navarro's just shredding. And he's just like, this is my moment, and I think I heard on Howard Stern today that there were like soundboard problems. Not to mention something you don't really think about is that everyone's got these earplugs now. So you're hearing the mix. And so if all you can hear is the guitar, you might be like losing your mind.
But
you should wait till afterwards and talk to your bandmates about it.
But here's the thing. Having been involved in that part of the music business, he's attacking the wrong person.
Oh, yeah.
The guitarist has no control over the volume and no control over the mix. Normally, these guys lose their shit. You'll see guys yell off stage or say stuff off stage because they're talking to somebody to get on the radio and tell a dude at the soundboard, turn that shit down. So... yes, it could have been a part of that, and maybe it was what he was playing and how he was doing it. That makes sense. But as far as volume and all the other stuff, he had no control over any of that stuff.
I'm going to tell you, alcohol is no friend to any performer. And you're talking to somebody that still has one or two beers before he gets on stage. But when I've had too much, you get emotional, you snap, you do the wrong things, and you go, oh, impulse? Yes.
Right.
Let's go with Impulse.
Right.
But
You
they're not. They canceled the rest of their
Yeah,
tour, correct?
that's it.
Like
It's
it
sad.
wasn't a
They're
one-off.
probably
It
done.
was,
They're probably done.
It's too bad.
It's way sad. Well, I was reading some of the comments, people that were at the show, and they were saying that Perry was off.
So he was off from
And,
the get-go.
and so it sounded like Dave had walked up to him and was just like yelled something at him. And then apparently they started a song, not earlier, but Perry probably wanted to go on one of his long, I'm going to fucking David Lee Roth talk a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And they were like, fuck that. Let's just get to the song. And he's like, but I wanted to rail about Palestine or whatever, you know.
I read that too, and that's definitely what happened. They were checking each other.
Yeah.
And also, if you say he was off, like we've all been on stage when we're off, it's frustrating.
It is.
And you get irrational.
Right.
And you start blaming crazy
Right.
things. Why are you walking into the bathroom right
Right.
now? It's ruining my sex.
Right. But, you know, also, like I said, you know, Perry's a dick. Also, he made the fucking 90s.
Well, he made Jane's Addiction too. Like everybody in the
that's-
band is incredibly
it.
talented, but he came up with the concept. The
Yes.
way I understand it, he took 3 metal kids
Yeah.
and turned them into this weird thing. Don't take for granted alternative music. There
Right.
was no alternative music in there was, but it didn't rock.
Right.
So we talk about their first album was a live album because I read that they weren't really
Yes.
ready for their own original,
Right.
but nothing shocking. There's no Nevermind without Nothing Shocking. Nothing Shocking
sure.
is the album, and it came out in 88.
Yeah,
it's a
I was
90s
still
album
in
that
high
came out in the
school.
80s.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
right.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people say about the year that punk broke, which is, you know, they say Nirvana. And a lot of people are like, yeah, dude, but it was fucking coming to a head.
None of us were surprised by Nirvana. We were
No.
like, oh, now it
time.
sounded really good and probably better than anything. But we weren't surprised by a band that looked like that or had that distortion or anything. We were like, oh, it's finally palatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you were if
Right.
you were kind of in that world, like I was working in college radio at
Yeah.
that time, and that's what I loved about college radio, which no one would understand this now with the way the digital era works. But back then, the only way you found out about stuff is they were literally dropping off boxes of new music at the radio station, and you're just sitting in the other room listening to all this stuff that nobody else has heard.
Right.
Because it doesn't exist anywhere else except the promo stuff that they send to radio stations. It's not out there. You could still make tapes back then and share with your friends, but again, you'd have to be in the know.
Yeah.
If you
have
saw
that
somebody
stuff.
with a Husker Du t-shirt or
Yeah.
something, you'd be like, yo.
This guy.
Out of 200 people you went to
Right.
college with or something, you'd be like, I'm going to be friends with this guy.
Yeah, no.
Or you never meet him and you develop an entire mystery about this guy that must be so fucking cool.
I was at college radio in the 90s, and that's how I found Sublime. And my partner, I was like, dude, this band is amazing. And I think the next day I read an article about him that he's already dead. I was like, what?
That was quick.
I was like, shit, I
Yeah.
just found out about this band.
That is so sad.
By the way, funny thing, I can tie the Perry Farrell story into a previous story about Joe Rogan.
Another one.
No, it has nothing to do with Rogan, but there's a tie.
Did they get
Remember, I
in a
told you the
fight?
story about the fight, right? With the actor Craig Sheffer. So when I was managing that band I was telling you about,
Yeah.
they were the Guffs. They were on Atlantic Records, and we happened to be up in Canada, and they have this massive music festival called Eden Fest. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's massive, 150,000 people outdoors come and see this thing. And Live was playing with Porno for Pyros at it.
Right.
And so we had gotten invited backstage to see Live, but then obviously we were excited that Porno for Pyros was performing there too. So he came up, he did his performance, all that stuff, and then Live came on. And at this time I didn't know who the actor Craig Sheffer was, but he was there. He was friends with the band Live, and they're like, "You want to introduce us?" And he's like, "Sure." Hammered. And he gets on stage, 150,000 people. Imagine this. And we're standing inside stage watching it, and he's like, "Are you guys ready to see the band live?" And they're like, yeah. And he goes, "Show me your tits." And it just went, oh.
That's not what we're doing anymore.
No, not in Canada. Like it's just like it just died.
Well,
he
period.
killed 150,000 people's energy by screaming, "Show me your tits!"
For sure.
And
This isn't Motley Crue.
yeah, I was gonna say that era just died, dog.
Ed Kowalczyk walks on stage. He's like, "All right, buddy," and they had to like shame walk him off the stage like at the Apollo. And I saw him years later at that same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, you know, I seen you before," and I brought that up. He's like, "Dude, I am so ashamed at that moment." Like, I mean, how could you not? You brought down 150,000 screaming people.
How lucky were we to live in a time, especially him, where you could make a mistake like that?
And nothing
And yeah,
comes of it.
150,000 people is a lot of people.
But it's
But
not on the
that's-
internet.
No.
That's all he had to face was you.
Years
Yeah,
later.
years later.
Which, by the way, how bad was that film set experience for him? He gets reminded of one of his biggest mistakes. Rogan calls him out for
Yeah.
like every dinner he's had alone.
Yeah.
That would have been great if you're like, you know what? Hey, man, just forget about this. Let me tell you about another time I saw you really shit the bed.
I know that I look at it, you know, in recap, yeah, I probably shouldn't have brought that up. But I will tell you, got along with him. He is a
That's
super
awesome.
nice guy. And I always did feel bad for that whole scenario that happened.
I feel
for him.
bad for him in both scenarios, by
Yeah,
the way,
yes.
because we've all tried to go for the joke
Yes.
that didn't, especially like an actor's not used to a live performance
No.
Right.
or saying things that aren't written for him. And I feel for him both ways. You should have been like, you know, we're not going to charge you for this. You go home, you rethink everything.
Like your whole life.
Why don't you be a contestant on Fear Factor? Why don't you make about $650? Maybe it goes towards your SAG insurance.
Yeah.
Aaron, did you want to say something?
No.
Aaron, can we dial up Eric Wendell? I don't even know if he's available because I forgot to tell him. And I just texted him last minute today.
Oh, okay.
And he usually sleeps. Just got a text from Michael Costa, who won an Emmy last night.
Did he?
Congratulations
Okay, good
to
on
Michael
him.
For
Costa.
what?
He's a performer and writer on The Daily Show,
Oh.
and they won an Emmy, so it's always great.
Which, is he one of the newscasters?
Yeah.
yeah,
He's
he
also
he
hosting.
hosts.
Oh, I
He
know who
hosts
he is. I love that guy.
They rotate, and he's perfect for
He's
it.
my new favorite
He
guy.
looks like somebody that would have that
Right.
job.
Right.
So congratulations to Michael.
You know,
We've
he
known
got
him a
his
long time.
Chops, you know, hosting Noah's Bagel comic get
Dude, so that was what's so cool about Mike. He used to reach out to comics and be like, we're gonna have breakfast or brunch or whatever at Noah's Bagels, and he would explain it to you like, we always hang out at night when we're a little nervous to go on perform, or we're drinking or what have you. We're not all sitting together. He's like, we're just gonna meet and socialize on this level. And it was like a weekly thing.
Wow.
And it was pretty cool, man. It was
really
very
cool.
Michigan of him.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
Very Midwestern.
So he was
hero.
a stand-up?
Oh yeah, really good
Oh,
stand.
you had to have done. You
And-
had to cross paths them. He was doing it when we were doing it.
Oh, okay.
And not only that, he was a professional tennis player.
Yes.
So this guy
Damn.
has lived a life.
Yes.
Man, I never
and
understand people like that.
And I don't have a text back from Eric Wendell. So Aaron, you're probably getting nothing, right?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
All right, well,
We'll
hey,
see. If not, we got a couple minutes and a
You
couple.
got a text back from an Emmy winner, dude.
Listen, you got to settle for what you can get.
Hey,
Say what you want about, Wendell, though. I don't see Michael being able to tow a plane around with the fucking golf cart.
I mean, maybe you may be a tennis pro, but can you fucking tow a plane?
Were you around during that time where a couple comedians from time to time would come and just really kind of wreck the vibe because they were and so what ended up happening was there would be a new email chain redirecting the different times and dates and not including the people that were annoying, and it kept it just to avoid, and you'd run into these comments like, hey, how come we're not getting together anymore? And everyone had to be a part of that same like lie because they know that they were.
I don't know.
Were you around for all that?
Well, I always made the cut, so
Yeah, so did I.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I would see comics like just happen to be there, like walking past, like, yo, what the fuck, man?
There was a little bit of that too.
Not only that,
But it wasn't a big group though either.
it wasn't a big group, and I actually drove past it one time before I was in the know. even though I knew Michael for a long time, and I saw Ryan Stout there, and I like texted him something. I was way past by the time I texted him, like, "Yo, man, let's hang out at Noah Bagels or whatever." And he's like, "Are you here?" And I'm like,
He's like, everybody's here.
I was like, what? Yeah, what's going on? But that was fun, and the bagels are all right for West Coast too.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. Right. I mean, it was all about the gathering.
It was about the gathering, but honestly, because I'm trying to get back, I'm trying to figure out. There's only a handful of good sandwiches, good pizza, good bagels in LA. I guess I have to go back for myself. Noah's is good, right? Please tell me they're good bagels. I want a good bagel out here.
Yeah.
There's this food truck. We're full circle, baby. There's this food truck in my neighborhood called the Yeasty Boys.
Yeah.
And it's written like the check your head font.
Right.
Like the Beastie Boys. And I'm like, awesome. Beastie Boys are synonymous with New York City. And New York City is synonymous with bagels. And I go there and listen, I don't want to wreck this business. I guess I already am. I do want to go back and just get a regular cream cheese and bagel so I can really get into it. But I was turned off by the vibe. I guess I went there too late. The guy was a little
moody
with me.
Okay.
And the bagel did not taste East Coast. Usually when you front East Coast, you ship water in.
I've heard this
from the East Coast to
That's
make
what they say about their pizza.
to make bread. So they do that at a place called Boo's Cheesesteaks in like East Hollywood.
Okay.
They used to do it at a place called Johnny's Pizza. This is done, and it's pretty fucking cool. And I don't see how they make money doing it, but
Right.
I don't think the Yeasty Boys do that. Here, I'll help them out. I don't want to trash their business. Go there yourself and do the taste test. Now business is picking up.
There you go.
I'm advertising them now.
What water are they? That's so special. Are they getting shipped to
Tap
them?
water
It is tap water.
from the New York City area, New Jersey. It makes me so nostalgic because, most of my family's from New Jersey. So when we go visit, you taste the tap water and it tastes a little weird to the outsider.
It's probably all the dead bodies from the mob.
But
mob murders.
yeah, it's whatever they use to like cleanse it or whatever, to sanitize it. But whatever it is, it goes into the dough, and it's a much more bread-oriented
Better pizza.
place. Yeah, definitely better pizza.
And everybody said, and when I was there, I was like, fuck, this pizza's really good. They're all, it's the water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? The water.
It's also the cheap tomato sauce.
Probably.
It's like sugary,
Okay.
and then you're never going to go wrong with cheese.
Oh, and it's probably the large Italian population would have
You
something
know what,
to
Craig?
do with that.
I think you're onto something.
That might be part of it.
You could be a detective.
Most of those pizza places, they're all owned by mob guys. I know I see that a lot. But
Is that still a
fact.
thing?
Not anymore.
It's all Latinos working there now.
Yeah.
No. Is the mob still a thing?
Mafia, I mean, yeah, but not like it was.
But what are they into?
Gambling.
What makes them a thing?
Porn.
Gambling.
I'm
porn.
serious. They run credit card scams on,
Yeah.
on
Okay,
porn and
so it's
stuff.
just so.
You name it, there's always somebody who's like, I don't want to work for a living.
The
Yeah.
Sopranos and Donnie Brasco are the ones that really got the mob right. It's mostly these guys. It's like comedians. Don't really make that much money.
Right.
Get a big payday here or there. There's a scene in Donnie Brasco where they're just taking hammers to parking meters.
Right.
Stupid shit like that. You see it in The Sopranos. They're doing stupid whatever they can do.
Just scams.
Like they steal flat screen TVs and then
Right.
sell them. It's like they barely, and the guys that do all the work make shit.
Right.
So it's a part of. It's like
show business,
you get to be a part of something.
dude. It's exactly like show business. Like being a drug dealer is like show business. You do all this street corner shit. You barely make anything.
Right.
The path to becoming G Money from New Jack City are so slim.
There's only a few guys that hit that level.
Yeah, right.
It's like the taggers. I never understood what they get out of tagging their gang signs.
Tagging is
They're
crazy.
marking their territory because I don't know what they're.
I'm going to say nothing
Most
Okay.
guys get nothing.
unless
I have a friend
I was
who just
going to say.
won the lottery.
Yeah?
He's a tagger.
Tim?
He's good. My friend Tim Conlon. He doesn't
Fucking
mind me saying.
Amazing artist.
He lived in D.C., and I don't know the huge story, even though he's told me. I can't remember the details. His stuff ends up in the Smithsonian in DC, and
get
then
it.
he's a sought-after street artist.
Get it.
And now he just makes, he just does it in his backyard, on his property, and sells it.
Cute little house.
Famous people buy it. He has these big.
Can we describe what it is?
Well, it's basically.
It's the fucking coolest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, you describe it because you sound like you're.
Oh,
ready
sorry,
to
dude.
describe it.
Yeah.
No, you're.
He takes model trains, the model trains that you buy.
Yeah.
They look legit. They're very. I already know they're expensive model trains.
You worked at a convention for him, so you're very
Yeah, there you go. I worked with model nerds, and then he bombs the trains.
okay.
And I mean, it looks like you took a fucking subway train or a train from New York off the tracks, and fucking now you have it on display on your mantle.
He even had a documentary. He made the documentary with somebody else. It's on Showtime. It's
Oh.
called I think it's. God damn it!
I know what you're talking about.
I gotta look it up because
up.
I can't leave this guy hanging. We'll cut this out.
Speaking of that, do we know who Banksy is now? Is that still a thing?
No, nobody knows who Banksy is. But I want to.
There's
I also.
a lot of good ideas who they think he is.
I also want to describe his work a little bit more. He also does big
Yeah.
panels from a train.
Yeah.
And he spray paints it. And
Like old trains that you can buy that piece.
Yeah.
I think he actually kind of creates that too. And he does big, what they call murals. Tagging is just writing your name.
Yeah.
Murals are these big things you see. And then what he did that I think a lot of people do now, but I think he was one of the first people to do. He takes popular art, so kind of like an Andy Warhol kind of vibe, and puts like a Homer Simpson in the middle of it. Or like a Woody Woodpecker.
That's brilliant.
Doing something.
That's brilliant.
And so like that was his signature move.
Oh, so that's kind of like a new thing he's doing.
Well, no, that's something he's always done that made him kind of stand out.
Do you have a piece of the action?
That's
do you
pretty
have an original?
I'm not involved, but he does let me stay at his house.
Oh, so no, but you've known him for a while. Do you know him
Do I know him? I've known
before
him.
he gotten big?
He was in my homeroom in high school. I knew him since he's 14, and I was there. Like LCD sound system. I was there when my skateboarder friend at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Ian Harshman, who went on to become a fucking famous DJ, produced Snoop Dogg, toured worldwide. This dorm room, I'm sitting with all these guys. My career is no joke either. The three of us are sitting, not getting laid, in a dormitory.
Right.
19 years old. I was there. Ian's sketching in his notebook.
Nice.
Tim's already a visual artist. He teaches them how to do it. I lose my skateboarder friends because they're going out bombing Baltimore all the time.
It'd be nice to have that notebook.
The documentary is called Rolling Like Thunder.
There it is.
Tim's
Nice.
Tim's documentary is called Rolling Like Thunder. It's on Showtime, which means it's probably on Paramount Plus now. Yeah.
Excellent. Worth a watch, I can guarantee you.
It's fun because so I was also there when they came up with that mentality, and their crew was called CRX, which is actually like a train station.
It is.
Or a train, whatever, in Baltimore. And the idea is you paint on the train so the world can see it. It's not on just some wall,
Right.
It's
This shit's going around the
It's a
country.
traveling show.
Yeah, exactly.
I call it the Art Door Art Gallery of L.A.
And there's this cool animosity. There's this cool thing where like Seattle is in a war with like Miami,
Oh.
and they keep writing nasty messages to each other on the trains and going over each other's murals.
That's
Kind of what the documentary's about.
'cause once
and
that
then it
train
sends back
travels-
3 days. It's like slow email. It's like, oh, you motherfucker.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. I think that's going to do it for the Full Charge Power Hour Gen X edition. Register to vote and pledge on Patreon, patreon.com/the full charge. And we'll see you next week. Peace out.